welcome back. In this video I'm going to be making and airbrushing the outside layer of the Sunset in France gown. So if you watched the video of me making the lining, you would have seen that the fabric I bought for the gold skirt part of the lining was too narrow for the pattern pieces. The cotton I bought to do the outside layer was the same width, so that is also too narrow. So I'm going to keep that cotton for something else, and I've bought these two huge king size flat sheets from Target. Each one is 280 by 265 centimeters. The cotton feels pretty similar to the original cotton that I'd bought from Spotlight. I've pre-washed these as hot as I could, as hot as my washing machine would go, and dried them. I need to press them still. They were $27 each, so if the airbrushing goes horribly wrong, it's not going to be expensive to start this part again. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out all of my dress pieces. So unlike the lining, these will be cut in one full length piece. There's not going to be a seam like there is between the corset and the skirt because of the colour change on the lining. I'm going to cut all these panels as one full length piece from top to bottom. Once I've cut them, I'm going to stitch them, press them and overlock them. I'm not going to show you how I'm going to cut and sew and overlock and press all these pieces. You know how to do that. There's no interlining, there's nothing fancy going on that I need to show you. It's literally cutting out one pair of each piece, cutting the front and the fold, stitching them, pressing them and overlocking them. Normally I'd leave my centre back seam open because it's easier to join the outside and lining together with the back seams open, like we left the lining open. But because I'm going to be airbrushing this and I want the paint to be continuous across the back, I am going to join the centre back seam up to where the lacing is going to start. So here's the outside of the dress all together. So I've pressed all my seams open, I've clipped around the curves and clipped the curves at the waist. Then I've overlocked it from around here downwards, down either side of each seam, and around the bottom as well, just so it doesn't fray while I'm airbrushing it. So I've just pinned it back over the corseted lining for now so you can get an idea of how it's going to look. Next I need to get it ready for airbrushing. So I'm going to keep the petticoat on the mannequin but take the corseted lining out. Then I'm going to pin this layer back on, but underneath that I'm going to put one of those big plastic drop sheets that you can get from hardware stores just to stop the paint going onto the mannequin and onto the petticoat. And then I'm going to use, I've got a ton of bubble wrap, so I think I'm going to use bubble wrap just to pad it because it is bigger than my dress form. Okay, so here's how it looks all ready to airbrush. So I've got my big plastic sheet over the whole thing. Then I've taken out the dress lining and then I've just added some bubble wrap just to try and hold it smooth. I've used old pins that don't matter if they get paint on them. And I think it's probably smooth enough to paint now. I can just sort of move it with my hands if I need to while I'm airbrushing. And with the slight overlaps in the skirt with the slight pleats, again, I'll just move them from the hem as I'm doing it and hopefully that will work. I've never airbrushed an entire gown before, so this is a big learning curve, but I think we're ready to go. Okay, so I am set up ready to airbrush. So the airbrush I use is a Badger 155 Anthem. I'm using Jacquard airbrush paints, which I've got in all sorts of basic colours, which I'll mix to get the colours that I need. I've got some various sort of bits mixed up from other projects that I might use. I've got some purple and red and some orange that are left over from other things. I've got spare jars and pots so I can switch between colours. I've got some water. I water the paints down around half and half, half paint, half water to airbrush. I've got some other little test pots of colours in here which I might use as well. I've got some isopropyl alcohol which I clean the airbrush with afterwards. I've got some offcuts of cotton which I'll test the colours on as I go. I've got my drawing here of my design, which I've actually just put under the plastic lid just to protect it, make sure I don't get any paint on it. And I've got my dress on the mannequin ready to airbrush. So I'm going to start at the top with the dark blue, so it's going to be dark blue up here into purple as it comes down this part. So that's the colours I'm going to start with. just knocked my pot of paint off my end of my airbrush, and it's left a big dribble down the front. It's lucky we're putting black flowers over this to hide things like that. I'm really happy with how this is looking. I'm pretty much just going to do more yellow now. So I'm going to I might go over some of the purple as well. That looks like it might need another coat. So it's getting a bit windy, so I'm actually going to shut the door and go inside and finish off. Then I'll let it dry. Then I'll be back to show you the finished effect. So this is the finished result of the airbrushing. I'm really happy with it, considering I've never airbrushed an entire dress before. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I really like the way the colour fades, but not in a solid fade. I've got the lines, as you'd see sometimes in sunsets, with the sort of clouds going across the sky. Yeah, the colours are really vivid. I've got this lovely midnight blue at the top. It's stiff in the fabric, but not nearly as much as when I did the Halloween dress, so I'm happy with that. I did underestimate the amount of paint that I would need, and I ran out of yellow, so the bottom's a little bit uneven, but I've allowed extra for the hem, so I think once it's hemmed and once I've got all the black flowers on, it won't matter actually. I did dribble paint a couple of times. Look, there's one there, you can see, which was just me kind of not knowing what I'm doing really. But again, because we're putting the flowers on it, I can hide that with flowers, so it really doesn't matter. It's been a good learning experience. So yeah, overall I'm really happy, really like the colours. It's really vivid, which is what I was hoping. So the one colour I couldn't get that I really wanted to use was like a magenta colour. The colours that I had, the primary colours, just didn't mix well into a magenta. But I don't think it's lost anything from not having it. I think it works well from the blue to the purple to the red to the orange to the yellow. So yeah, it would have been nice to have, but I think it's still really pretty like it is. So the next thing I need to do is press it, because this is heat set, this colour. So I'm going to spend a whole bunch of time tomorrow morning just pressing and steaming this to try and get the colour to set as much as possible. It's not going to be a dress that I'm ever going to wash or dry clean. It's going to be a display dress or for photo shoots. So I'm not too worried, but I need to test more in case I ever do them for clients, so I know that they've got something that they can wash. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me airbrush this, transform it from a plain white dress into this. In the next video, I'll show you how I join the outside and the corseted lining together, and how I do the eyelets and the corset back on it. And then I'll do the hem, and then after that it'll be time to decorate it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please share my channel with your friends if you think they'd enjoy what I do, and I'll see you soon.